Good morning to all of you. And if you're not in our time zone, good afternoon. So today, I'm going to share uh, some poems. And also, as I'm in my art studio, and the painting I've been working on for such a long time is almost finished. It's about 95% complete. I thought I'd take you through it because it's kind of a mystical journey. It's kind of a spiritual journey as well as many of my paintings are either trying to reflect some of the beauty of nature and the creation. And some of my paintings are stories. They tell stories, and always with an intent to turn the attention of the onlooker in a higher direction. Uh, that's that's what I feel is the purpose of art, is to take us to a higher place. Uh, Therefore, I do not like most of the art that I see that's being generated in the world today. I'm not a big fan of just self-expression. I, to me, art is something that should convey beauty and it should convey a story. Uh, Traditionally, art was used as storytelling, whether it was the old cave paintings, of the our prehistoric ancestors, um, or whether it's uh, Buddhist art or early Christian art, early Islamic art. All of these we see, this reflection of the creation, and always in a different way, because we're one and we're all equal, but we're also all different. Uh, Whether you're black, brown, yellow, white, or whatever, we all bleed the same blood. And similarly, although we have all these outer differences, inwardly we are one. Even medical science, has discovered that we're 99.9% uh, all of common genetic material. So there's only a tiny fraction that accounts for our outer differences. And yet, humankind is so blind that we go about destroying each other or destroying countries or whatever just on the basis of outer beliefs, which is a real tragedy of all times. If people had understood their oneness, there would never be conflict, there would never be war. And we would be all living in peace. But that's a kind of a utopian um, hope. Uh, but it's a hope that I still cherish, that I still hope and uh, inwardly yearn for peace in the world. But it can only come about if we attain peace and unity within ourselves. And that's what meditation is all about. So before I maybe I'll take you on the journey of the painting first, and explain to you something about it and its meaning. It's based on an ancient but very acclaimed and well-known book throughout the world. In Persian, it's called Mantik Altair. In English, it's called Conference of the Birds. It's an allegory where the author, whose name was Attar, a very wise man who lived about 800 years ago um, in Persia, ancient Persia. He was renowned as a great healer, a doctor, and a chemist. Um, and he was very well known for his effective medical treatments in his time. Attar, the word attar in Persian, it actually means perfumer. And like a perfumer, he spread the fragrance of truly spiritual teachings everywhere he went. And he said, somewhere between belief and unbelief, you'll find me there. Uh, he was one of these um, very unique individuals, a great genius. And so his book, uh, Montic Altair, or Conference of the Birds, is one of several books that he wrote. He also wrote a book called The Book of Secrets. So in this book, Conference of the Birds, he gives uh, the birds the ability to speak. And it was a time of considerable uh, turmoil in the world. Genghis Khan's hordes were basically pillaging and rampaging throughout um, the Middle East and also uh, all the way eastward into China. Kublai Khan basically conquered northern China and established himself there. Genghis Khan was the father or grandfather of Kublai Khan, but then the hordes spread uh, westward as well into what's now Iran, Afghanistan, India, and other places. And it's an interesting time. So Attar, the great poet and author, he sets the stage for this book in a valley where tens of thousands of birds gathered. And there's one little bird there called the hoopoe. It's a it's a very unusual looking bird with black and white feathers and an orange head with a beautiful crown or crest on its head. This bird can be found throughout the East, Middle East, and also into Europe. I don't think we have any of them here in North America. It's about twice the size of a robin. Very beautiful bird. So, in the uh, in the in the Old Testament, the hoopoe was a bird that guided Solomon, and um, and so in the Middle East, the hoopoe is given some kind of religious significance, whether it's justified or not. I don't know. And so the hoopoe serves as a guide to all the thousands of birds who gather in the valley. So in the in the story, uh, the hoopoe has claims that she has been to see the king of all birds, and the king of all birds is someone whose majesty is incomparable, and all the birds they should actually fulfill the purpose of their lives and make this journey, make a pilgrimage to find the king of all birds. The king of all birds is called the Simurgh. And it's quite an interesting tale. You know, the parrot uh, says, I have such beautiful feathers. I don't really want to go on this. I don't think I need to go on this journey. My plumage is so beautiful that I think I'm fairly complete in myself. And then the hoopoe argues with the bird, convinces it that really you're just a reflection of the majesty of the great king of all birds. Now, remember, this is an allegory. It's not to be taken literally. So one after the other, the various birds have their excuses for not undertaking this great journey, this pilgrimage. A lot of the book is taken up with stories about the birds and their reasons why they can't undertake this pilgrimage. It's kind of like an allegory of ourselves, why we make excuses ourselves not to undertake our own journey of self discovery, of self realization. So, um, in the story, Attar is constantly diverging. He's telling stories that have happened in ancient past and drawing lessons of life from each of these stories. So the birds, uh, really, it's a very daunting journey. They have to undertake a great perilous journey. It's a long journey of taking many, many years. And they have to cross through 7 valleys. There's the Valley of Quest, there's a valley of love, there's a valley of understanding and knowledge, there's a valley of detachment, there's a valley of unity, there's the value of astonishment and wonderment, and finally, there's the valley of death. And death, to in Attar's interpretation, death means it's a transformation of the self, where our ego has to die. Our ego, we cannot come to the presence of the great Samorg, the great king of all birds, unless we lose our self, our ego. And finally, after this perilous journey, many birds perish from fear. They perish from being caught in snares along the way. It's kind of like, a journey of many seekers who would set out to seek something very high and noble, but in the end, very few actually make it. So although there are thousands of birds that start out on this quest, only 30 finally reach the abode of their beloved king. So before they can see the king, they have to again be tested, because the king sends his messenger and tells them that you're really not worthy of this. And so the birds start plucking their feathers and wringing their feathers, and as we would wring our hands, and it's like one last blow to the ego before they can actually meet or behold the great king of all birds. Well, finally, when they're admitted into the presence of the Samurg, they look into his eyes, and what do they see? They see that they are themselves the Samurg. They see a reflection of themselves, and they are what they have been searching for in all of their existence. So here we are. We start out on the quest. Perhaps it's the quest for knowledge, truth, self-realization, or God. And finally, when we reach there, we see a reflection of ourself. So it's a great parable. It's a great story. And so now I'll give you a little journey, a little view of this painting that has taken me so many years of work. It started about 4 years ago when I had the original idea of my idea of this journey of the birds, the conference of the birds. And that first one was on a wooden panel that was 36 inches in diameter, a round panel. So after trying to get the colors and the composition right, that took about 3 years. Meanwhile, I had painted many other paintings as well. So then came the big test. I had a big 8-foot diameter wooden panel constructed. Very nice panel done by a friend of mine who has a big workshop in Vancouver. And I started it. And during the painting, it has evolved in many ways from the original one. So it's different. This is a constant evolution, and it's a story. It's a parable. It's not to be taken literally, but anyway. Hope you enjoy this little journey. Here we go. Walk over the painting. This is in my messy studio. So from all this mess comes some kind of order. All right. So when I broke my leg in November, I was confined to a wheelchair, and I could only reach this part of the painting. The painting was then elevated up. So I started painting these various birds in different poses. Here are a couple of quail, and here, this unusual bird with a beautiful crest on it. Many of these birds actually have little crests or crowns. It's called the Victoria pigeon. Next is a goldfinch. I hope I got this in focus. Sitting on a thistle. And there are bees on the thistle. Those are some cosmos flowers. Here is a dove flying over a pond. And these are geese. What the one goose is flying down. And here are the littlest birds of all, hummingbirds. They're very fast, very cute birds. And these are wood ducks. Here, pair of herons, long legs. And each one of these birds took a long time because I tried to get every feather as accurate as possible. This is a cardinal and a bluebird and two swans, a blue jay. So they're all kind of swooping in, coming in. These are from the bottom. And in the cloud formation here, you can also see a bird, clouds. And flying above them here is rather plain looking bird. It's the nightingale, which has the sweetest of all melodies. And here's three birds that are a little nondescript. This is an owl, snowy owl in the blooming cherry tree.
Very beautiful.
And a red-tailed hawk. This is a Persian jay. It's like a blue jay, it's related to a blue jay, but it's actually got an orange body. An Indian parrot, canary. Now the canary is a very small bird, but because of, foreshortening, basically what's closer to you appears bigger, what's in the distance looks smaller. Of course, I had to put in a raven and a pigeon. So much work has gone into each little feather. And up here depicted the hoopoe. This is the hoopoe is the guide. It's kind of like the guru or the murshid, the teacher who has made the journey before and serves as a trusty guide to all of the other birds. And finally, they behold the simurgh. The simurgh I've portrayed here in the form of a peacock because the peacock has such magnificent plumage. And like the little hoopoe, it has a crown also. The peacock has a crown and it has all these gorgeous feathers. And a peacock has up to 200 eyes in its tail. And each feather looks like an eye. So it's like the all-seeing king of all birds. Call it the bit. And I didn't want to have just empty space, so there's kind of energy fields kind of coming from the tail of the peacock or the simurgh. And this here is an imagining of the poet in that time of 800 years ago, of Attar. And behind, of course, is kind of a cosmos with a nebula, of energy in the back. And in his hand, he's holding a feather, again, from a bird. And the pen has a drop of blood coming from it. And that symbolizes that we have to make a sacrifice of ourself in order to attain the simurgh. So here's a book. He's writing the book, and the book's pages start to take wing and become birds themselves. So we come back to the simurgh. So I've hidden a few little things in the paintings, um, like the owl has been hidden in the blossoms, and in here I've got whirling dervishes. There's like 30 whirling dervishes here on a beam of light. And the name Simurg, uh, it comes from the Persian sim, which means 30, and murg means birds. It's not that I believe that there's any specific mystical significance of 30. It's just an arbitrary number. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the little tour. When we finish meditation, I'm going to go back and paint again. So now, before we go into meditation, I'll share with you a poem that I wanted to share. And this was by Rumi. It's interesting that Attar of Nishapur, when maybe you have heard of Rumi, he's probably the most well-known poet in the Western world today, although he lived 750 years ago in Turkey, and he's considered to be the Shakespeare of the Orient. He wrote the Masnavi is something like 33,000 verses, one of his books. Rumi himself didn't write his poetry. He would go into a state of ecstasy. He'd go deep in meditation, and then he'd begin to speak, and the poetry just flowed out of him. And this is the opening of his great magnum opus, his great book called the Masnavi. And Rumi's poetry is full of pathos. It is said, I don't know if it was Shakespeare that said it, the sweetest songs are the saddest songs. Somehow they stir the soul. So this is the opening verse translated into English from Rumi's Masnavi. Hearken to the sound of the flute. Hear its tale of lamentation. It cries, ever since they cut me from the reed bed, my plaintive notes have moved men and women to tears. See, the flutes of that era were made from reeds, right? Ever since they cut me from the reed bed, my plaintive notes have moved men and women to tears. I want a heart torn by separation, that I may unfold to such a one the pain of love. Everyone who is separated far from his source wishes back the time when he was one with it. My wailing is heard in every throng, in concert with them that rejoice and them that weep. Each interprets my notes in harmony with their feelings, but not one fathoms the secret of my heart. Such secrets are not alien from my plaintive notes, yet they are not understood by the sensual eye and ear. Body is not veiled from soul, neither soul from body. Yet who has seen the soul? This plaint of the flute is fire, not mere air. Let him who lacks this fire be accounted dead. The fire, the fire of love inspires the flute. The ferment of love possesses the wine. My flute is the confidant of all saddened lovers. Yes, its strains lay bare my inmost secrets. Who has seen a poison and an antidote like the flute? The flute tells the tale of love's blood-stained path. It recounts the story of Majnu's love toils. None knows these feelings save one afflicted by love. as ear inclines to the whispers of the tongue. Through grief, my days are as labor and sorrow. My days move on hand in hand with anguish. Yet, though my days vanish thus, it matters little. Do abide, O incomparable, pure one. So this is poem. Books have been written about this poem, trying to interpret it, and we have many a lesson to learn from Rumi's poetry. But no less a poem, no less a poet was his mentor, Attar. When Rumi was just a boy, Attar held him on his lap, and he prophesied that this boy would someday become the greatest of the great. Uh, when Rumi left with his father, his father was considered a great mystic and a great poet, also a great teacher. And he said, Attar commented, he said, "There goes a lake followed by the ocean." So this is a verse from Attar from his book, Conference of the Words in English. The home we seek is in eternity. The truth we seek is like a shoreless sea, of which your paradise is but a drop. This ocean can be yours. Why should you stop, beguiled by dreams of evanescent dew? The secrets of the sun are yours, but you content yourself with motes trapped in its beams. The ocean can be yours. Why should you stop? So that's just one verse of thousands that are actually in the Conference of the Birds. So much wisdom. Uh, so let us now sit for meditation. I think we've had a little impetus to plunge into that shoreless sea, that place that's somewhere between belief and unbelief, where we suspend our rational mind to plunge into the world of light, into the void, as it were, but it's not an empty void. It's not only filled with your own aspirations, but it is a place that's filled with your own innate radiance and beauty. Please close your eyes and let your body be still. Just relax, no pressure, no tension, no stress. Forget about time, forget about your responsibilities for a while. The world will go on without you for a while. Let go of everything. With your inner eye, that which sees whatever it is when you close your eyes, be it darkness or light, focus your attention into the middle of it, as if you're containing your thoughts, corralling your thoughts in a circle, focusing your attention into that circle that lies opposite to your eyes. And in the swirling midst of your thoughts, replace those swirling thoughts with thoughts of love and peace. Try mentally repeating a name of the divine which you feel comfortable with. While gazing gently in front of you. When the mind is stilled, we see reflected within us the divine light. And everyone possesses it, but few know it. I was very fortunate when I was 17 years old. I had gone through a very dark period in my life, and I'd even tried to take my life. I didn't see any purpose for continuing on with this painful existence. And I sought refuge in a monastery. I was 17, and it was up in the Chatsworth Hills inside of Los Angeles. And one day, one unusual day, I was standing with my eyes closed and just letting go of everything, and all of a sudden, this light started appearing within. And at first, I thought maybe I was crazy, and I went deeper and deeper, and I started reading about um, experiences, spiritual experiences, religious experiences that I've had by people of all faiths, and the bigger experience with the inner light. I realized I wasn't crazy. It was something so real and tangible, and changed my life. It set me on the path from self-destruction to one of service and understanding. So meditation has a great transformative effect on people. It's definitely good and it's definitely positive. Please do uh, find time every day for meditation, and you will be uplifted and improved. I can say that. Anyway, thanks for joining today, and I hope to see you again next week. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank y'all.